Recorded Books Romance presents an unabridged recording of Day by Day by Sandra Steffen, narrated by Alexandra Okama. This book is copyrighted 2002 by Sandra Steffen. This recording is copyrighted 2002 by Recorded Books, producer and publisher of Romantic Sounds, an imprint that features dramatic tales that will carry you away to exotic locales and sweep you off your feet. And now, Day by Day.
Chapter 1. Spencer McKenzie parked on a side street around the corner from Harbor Avenue. Reaching for the dark suit jacket he'd folded over the seat an hour ago, he closed his door and hurried toward Gaylord and Yvonne Wilson's home a block away. The breeze was uncommonly warm for an evening in late April. It was the first truly warm weather they'd had in this part of Michigan this year. Shirt-sleeve weather, he and his brothers used to call it. He would have preferred to roll up his sleeves and remove his tie. Instead, he slipped into his jacket, smoothed a hand along the length of his lapel, and started up the steps leading to the estate situated at the top of a steep hill overlooking Lake Michigan. Party balloons bobbed atop the gold-colored strings mooring them to the polished brass railing that meandered upward through well-lit, immaculately tended grounds. Three-fourths of the way to the top, Spence paused, taking a moment to appreciate the view behind him. Trilliums were just starting to bloom on the sand dunes. Earlier that day, colorful sailboats had tacked back and forth near the shore. Farther out, yachts and tugs and tankers had skimmed across the horizon. Tonight, darkness was fast obliterating the line where water met sky. Already lights dotted the shoreline. In the distance, the beacon of the Grand Haven Lighthouse flashed at the end of the pier. The tourist season was nearly upon them. Local businesses thrived on it. Spence tolerated it, preferring the slower pace of the off-season, when Grand Haven belonged to its local residents. Several of those local residents were standing in small groups when Spence reached the patio on the first level of the Wilson estate. The breeze billowed through imported suits, designer dresses, and some pretty impressive stuffed shirts. It ruffled a toupee or two, but it didn't hinder the guests who had gathered for Gaylord's 70th birthday celebration. Just as Spence had expected, anybody who was anybody was here. A rising star in the field of architecture, he was considered one of those anybodies, but he was here because his wife, Maggie, was here. Somewhere. "There you are!" Gaylord's wife, Yvonne, placed an elegantly manicured and garishly bejeweled hand on his arm. "You're late!" Spence leaned down to brush his lips across the perfectly made-up, lined cheek. Yvonne made a clicking sound with her tongue. All right, I forgive you. The question is, will Maggie?" He glanced around the courtyard for his wife. "Maggie knew I was going to be late. If she's upset, I'll have to think of some way to make it up to her." Yvonne's eyes, slightly watery and faded, held warmth and humor. "If I were 10 years younger—" Looking him up and down, her expression became wry. "Better make that 20. "It's a good thing you're not," Spence said, indulging the older woman with one of his rare smiles. "Because that, Maggie wouldn't forgive." "I'm pleased Maggie doesn't have to worry about that," Yvonne insisted. For all her social graces, Yvonne Wilson had a voice like a foghorn. Even her whispers could penetrate steel. Therefore, it wasn't surprising that several of her guests turned to look at them.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?